Okay, get ready.
All right, we are back in Automobilista 2. And we are driving at Daytona in a new series. We're going to race the GT1-98s. I'm in the Porsche 911 GT1. I love this car. I love this era. Remember not being able to sleep or working late and catching this race series on Speed TV. Tremendous amount of fun. And fun to watch race and fun to race. This is really what Automobilista 2 is all about, if you know, you ask me. It's a historic racing that you can do here. It's pretty incredible. Now, I actually have turned off my fourth monitor so that I could set triples up natively in Automobilista 2 to do the FOV correctly. So my FOV is correct now.
Go, go, go. Start.
Seem to have gotten away pretty quickly here. So as I was saying, got my FOV set correctly, so there's a better sense of speed. I also am using the built-in Automobilista 2 variable FPS to give a greater sense of speed as well. And it's an experiment. Let me know what you think of it. And also turned off a lot of the built-in HUD nonsense. So what you're seeing is the track map, you're seeing the time countdown, lap countdown, position, and then of course what I'm providing you via Race Lab, which is just the standings. Which is pretty good. It's funny, the FOV, I think I've mentioned this before, that Automobilista 2 doesn't give you a lot of flexibility. Is if you are in there, triple.
P2 behind is now 1.0 seconds.
You can set it correctly. You have to use the FOV calculator, and the FOV for all three of the screens is 151 degrees. You have to divide that by 3 to get it to 50. At least for my screens. I'm 27-inch 16 by 9 screens. And so have that set. But what I was doing before, so the engine, the MAD engine, I guess, doesn't like more than 3 monitors in a multi-monitor configuration. So my fourth monitor, basically it would just barf trying to set up the triples the correct way. And there's no built-in configuration trickery that can get past that. So what I was doing was I was setting it in triple mode and was then using Resize Raccoon to reposition the windows, because what was actually happening is the left edge was the centered monitor, so I was missing a third of the view. Resize Raccoon spread it out, moved it correctly, but because of how it detected,
141.2.
it basically thought it was in a single screen mode, and it doesn't give you the option to set the appropriate FOV, but it's bound. Like the UI basically puts the limits on the FOV calculation, which I guess is good for people that don't know what they're doing with the FOV calculation is at least you're not like way off. But for somebody like me where I've got triples and I have to do it in a weird configuration, I can't actually run with the proper FOV if I have my fourth monitor turned on. Now, you wonder what I need a fourth monitor for. I use it, especially when I'm racing or streaming, or racing and streaming, because I have my Discord open and sometimes a browser window or some other sort of stuff that I can see down here on my right-hand side. And not having it is not a big deal. In fact, it's a little less distracting. But
Gap 2, Marty, behind is now 5.1 seconds. Fastest lap for sectors 1 and 2 are fast. Sector 3 is 0.7 off the pace.
I don't know if I said this, but this is a 30-minute race. You probably can see that by the time counter on the screen. Thought about mixing this series up a little bit and doing 30-minute races and hour-long races and different stuff, and then decided not to do that. What I may do is I may do a second series, maybe race the 2005 GT1s and GT2s and the LMPs from 2005. Do a multi-class thing where we could have some multi-class fun. See a lot more traffic that way as well. If I wind up faster than the AI, like I am here. There's a lot of variability in the configuration for AI races and an Automobilista 2, and it's kind of funny is depending upon the track and the car, the two same settings don't work across multiple tracks, multiple cars. And that's irritating. You'd like some consistency there. This is a machine, though. I would love to drive one of these in real life. It's right in that nice era of turbo. My only turbo car was from 1999. It was a Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX.
Okay, Chip, gone out of track limits. Keep it between the lines. The gap to Marty behind is increasing. It's now 10 seconds.
So one thing that's kind of interesting is Automobilista 2 is very, very rigid about track boundaries. And like I didn't benefit from going off track there. I literally put the tire off just a hair, but it gave me a warning. At least it gives you 5 of those before it penalizes you. By default. I think you can configure that in online racing.
13 seconds.
These guys were much closer to me in qualifying and practice. Like, I only got one lap that was significantly faster than the rest of these guys. The rest of them, we were all within like 0.2 of one another and went back and forth most of qualifying. I don't know if they're driving more conservatively in the race. That was exciting. Being very good to my tires, which is unlike me. So one thing I do like about Automobilista 2 is the tire model does model flat spots. So if you lock the brakes up in a car that does not have anti-lock brakes, like this car, eventually every time you stop, you'll be dragging that wheel along with you. And you get to feeling it in the wheel, and the vibration from a flat spot is pretty intense. It's a pretty cool phenomenon.
Right now. Is closing in. The gap is now 17 seconds.
I think we're going to be okay, Jim.
We're currently setting the pace.
Looking around and not paying attention to where I'm driving, and that is a bad thing. where the other cars are. Wow, they're on the other side of the track. Holy crap.
Okay, Chip, 15 minutes left. That's 15 minutes. Awesome stuff, mate. Keep on coming. The gap to Castelli behind is now 19 seconds. We're halfway home. Fuel looks okay.
This is the one downer about Crew Chief. Using it with iRacing, I got really used to leveraging it to auto fuel, so let him manage my fuel for me, and he was usually pretty good. And in all the other sims, you have to kind of self-manage if you're going to do pit stops. This is not a pit stop race, so I'm not worried about it, but like longer endurance style races, having to worry about setting up pit stops and things like that. It's a little bit more involved. LMU is a freaking nightmare. I hate LMU and having to manage pit stops in that.
Okay, Jet, you've used half your fuel.
Looks like I'm abusing the left front just a hair. Not bad.
You've just done a 114.6.
That was almost a moment. Got in there a little bit hot. This car makes me giggle. I like this car. Possibly the only thing that could make it better is if it was a left-hand drive. Right-hand drive cars are challenging on first drive. You can get used to them. Visually, you have to just sort of always remember where you are and relative to the wheels of the car. Makes the bus stop interesting. Or, I'm sorry, the Le Mans chicane.
stay on it. That's the fastest lap. Your pace is good in sectors 1 and 2. Sector 3 times okay.
Also really love this track. I decided that I'm not going to drive the Roar this year. I've got a pretty tight schedule preparing to travel for business, and it just doesn't make sense to fit that into my schedule or a 2.5-hour race. The team isn't available to do the 24 hours this year. So we need to get my kicks other ways. So it is a tremendous track. Multi-class racing here is just phenomenal. It's really a lot of fun. As long as you get into a split where people are not trying to win it in the first hour, it's a lot of fun. We actually had a couple of races. I think we did this race, the 24 hours, twice? 2 or 3 times. But one of the races, we got taken out early and had a pretty large repair bill, sat in the pits for a really long time. And the team pulled together and drove hard through the night, and we made up a lot of the time we lost in the pits in the night. It was a great race overall for us. I think we wound up finishing like 8th or 9th, but it felt like a win given where we were after the incident. And that's what endurance racing is really all about. It's about that never quit, right? No matter what happens, you just keep going. And see if you can pull a little bit of victory out of the jaws of defeat. And that's where I think the reason why I like endurance racing so much is that there are different definitions of victory. You know, survival itself in a 24-hour race is it's a feat. It's an accomplishment for sure. I'm slowing way down because I'm talking. I think I've got a couple of slow laps in reserve here that I can spend. Yeah, I love endurance racing because of that kind of, you know, if you have a really good team with you and everybody pulls their weight, you know, they're driving for one another as much as, you know, they're driving for themselves. It can be a really rewarding experience. And I've been really lucky. I have a great group of guys that I've been racing with for several years now, and that's the other thing too, is once you find a good crew that you really click with and you feel, you bring the best out in each other on track.
Just 5 minutes left. Hold your nerve.
And you have
We can
fun.
win this.
Joking around and, enjoying the event for what it is, a way to kind of bond and be friends. Some people get so wrapped up in the competition aspect of racing that they lose sight of the fact that there's a lot more to it than that. It's kind of interesting. Random Call Sign and I seem to be on the same wavelength on a lot of things. He just did a video where he highlighted a guy who basically quit sim racing because he just got burnt out. He had a bad iRacing experience and he quit sim racing entirely. And Random Call Sign, he talked a lot about, sim racing is not just racing. It's easy to misconstrue it as that. There's a lot of exciting stuff that is still sim racing that doesn't necessarily involve direct on-track competition. And I didn't really realize it until I watched his video, but that's kind of what I've been doing the last year and a half, is I disengaged from a lot of the crazy league stuff that I was doing all the time and all the online, races and iRacing, and just found other ways to enjoy sim racing. Driving Assetto Corsa, just exploring Assetto Corsa for a year and a half was a lot of fun for me. Very low pressure, and it seems to have been of interest to some of you. And then that kind of branched out into other sims and, driving Rally now and Richard Burns Rally. I'm driving this Automobilista 2 a lot. I've driven Race Room quite a bit, Le Mans Ultimate at least once a week. And, that's given me kind of a new lease on life in terms of sim racing, just because, I've found things that I enjoy that weren't just head-to-head grinding out for iRating kind of racing.
Your last lap time was at 1:39.8.
The tires are really not happy that turn. I don't know if I came in too hot there in one or what the deal was, but boy, she was just unsettled as heck on the exit one. But competition can be fun too if you come at it with the right attitude. And there was a video that we did. It was actually a shortcut out of one of our races where I think one of us said, good pass or something happened on track. And
2 minutes to go, 2 minutes.
I think it was Rosie said, only 23 hours and 30 minutes of this to go. And I posted that because we all laughed. We all had a great laugh about it. And, it was funny in the moment that, I think it was a close call. And people thought that we weren't taking racing seriously. I got all sorts of hate comments. It was the most watched video in 2024. I think it's actually the most watched video of my entire channel.
Keep it together. We'll win this. The last lap was at 1:40.2.
Some people found it funny, but there were people that were actually incensed by it. They were really offended the fact that we were not taking the race seriously and we're joking around early in the race and not putting our heads down and, getting upset that, we had an incident, had an issue that we, but we don't take it that seriously. I mean, we do take our racing seriously, but it's not so seriously that we can't laugh at ourselves or enjoy the moment. Because if you take every bad thing that happens to you anywhere in life, whether it's on track or at work or at school, and you let that, crush your spirit or make you angry, you lose perspective and you don't find the exit. You don't find the way out of that situation. You're stuck in that situation because of the anger, because of the fear, because of whatever is kind of driving that emotional response to it. But if you step back and kind of look at it from outside yourself and learn to laugh a little bit and find humor in things that maybe aren't all that funny on the surface of it, life becomes a lot easier. I'm not saying, you know, make fun of people or make fun of, you know, situations that are really super serious, but you can't let trivial things bring you down. And this, my friends, I don't care what level you're competing at, it's not life and death.
Incident in turn 1. Looks like it's Miller and
It's
Rebel.
not that serious.
Shit. Wow, well done, Chip.
But it can be a lot of fun. There are people that I've raced with that take sim racing so seriously. Not one of them are professional drivers. They never will be. So why take it that seriously? It's important to have passion for what you do. But if that passion begins to poison you, that just becomes sad. Well, that was a hell of a race. Looks like I kind of drove away from the crew. I swear to you, in the practice and in the qualifying, they were within half a second. Everybody was really close. So I did not expect to drive away. I figured, you know, maybe close to 10 seconds if I drove a really clean race, but I don't think I drove that clean of a race. I made a lot of mistakes.
Look out for the pit speed limit.
Most of them were minor enough that I was able to recover from them, but the tires started to feel a little funny there at the end. It looks like the left front is a little bit worn, but not bad. Both the front tires are more worn than the back tires, but I mean, it's really minuscule wear. So I was kind to the tires, which, like I said, that's unusual for me. And let's look and see what we got in terms of results. We need to remember to save the replay, though, immediately. Let's jump in and look at the replay really quickly and save it. And then we'll come back here and we'll look here while the replay plays. So my fastest lap was a 39.659, so that's pretty stout. I don't think I really realized I had gotten into the 39s. Most of the practice was in the 41 range, low 41s. So I found some speed just getting in a rhythm. So that's cool. So it's pretty happy making. I'm gonna go ahead and click continue here. So this is the point layout in the championship. So I do have a point layout. So this will be something we can follow along with. And let me know what you think of this. If this is dumb and you don't want to watch me race these cars at different tracks, let me know that. But this is the first of many. I think I got 20 races lined up. So Daytona first, because this is, of course, Daytona season, so it made good sense. And if we actually look here, we can see what the next race is. I believe that it's at Monza. Yeah, Monza Historic 91 is the second race. So that'll be fun. And then we get into Imola, Silverstone, the Schleife Historic from 71, the 24 Hours of Le Mans circuit from 2005. There's not an earlier one. Spa-Francorchamps 93. I love Spa. And the earlier version is kind of a fun track. This is Suzuka. And then Brands Hatch, Road America, Hockenheim Historic, which is also a fun version of the track. Bathurst Historic, also a fun version of the track, and it's mostly around the pit entrance and stuff that's different here. I don't think that this is the one. It's got the straight run off the hill. Oh yeah, it does. It's got the straight. It's got the super fast straight down to a corner, right angle corner. So that'll be a blast. Donington. This is a Portugal track in Portugal, but I'm not remembering what the actual name of it is, and this is kind of anonymized or because they don't have the license for the actual track. Interlagos Historic, Laguna Seca, Watkins Short, Kyalami, which is an interesting track. I had not driven that until recently, but this is the historic version of that. Montreal Historic, and then, of course, capping things off with Sebring. I think this is a good series. It should be a lot of fun, and this should be really, really cool. Now, the other thing that we could do, and this is something that I'm open to if you guys want to try to do this, is that we could probably put a series like this together and do it online as a community. Let's think about that. Post some comments, and let's see if that's something we want to do. But for now, we're going to call it a night. And I thank you so much for watching. I hope you had some fun. I certainly did. And I hope you will join me for the next one. Until then, bye now.
Spaß macht Rennsport.